Hey guys.
Hey.
Hey.
Welcome back.
Welcome back, Robbie.
Hi. You're echoing.
You're echoing again there.
Hi, Sierra.
Hey. Hey.
I guess my question for you guys. Sorry, Justin, if I'm.
You're good.
You're good.
What all did you guys see? What all did you guys see, and what's y'all's response?
We only
you hopped off.
Somebody
live.
Robbie, I'm going to mute you real quick because I think you're echoing a little bit, just so you know. But you can come back, obviously.
Yeah, so we only saw after the live switched to take him out, and then it was just you and John Paul.
Okay. That was the iPhone guru, who you guys may or may not be familiar with. His apartment overlooks JP's driveway. And so apparently JP had texted him. Let me get this. I can get that pulled up real quick. And said something like, "I assume you'll be serving me papers soon." While his girlfriend videotapes, is that correct? Text me a few minutes beforehand. Maybe we can play a game that'll get you more views. And then iPhone Guru said, if you'd like, you can join my live tonight on TikTok at 10:30 and do a Q&A with me and with Robbie. It would be a great way for you to set the record straight. And then he said, I got every news in America offering me that. Next time you come over, you can do a Q&A. You ask a question, I ask a question. And he took them up on that. Robbie, you're so lucky.
Good. Can y'all hear me now?
Well, we can hear you.
I'm sorry. What? Say again.
I said we can hear you. Echo. Either one of us talk.
Oh, okay. So, ladies, I mean, there was one thing that he said, and maybe you can shed some light. He said, something's coming next week. Everything will show why she passed away and who is responsible. Any idea of what he's talking about?
I mean, not without him going ahead and putting it out there and letting onto it. It seems like he's trying to hold on to it. And, we have to wait for that.
I think it is very interesting to say that. And so that is something that I would be interested in myself.
He also said, I want justice for Mica. I definitely want justice.
Which I think probably has very good meanings to our family and to him.
Have y'all had any additional, and it's ever since the last communication with, since I guess the lawsuits have been filed, have you guys had any interactions with him where he's reached out to y'all?
I have not spoken or had any communication with him leading up to the day of Mica's memorial that we held at the beach, and he did his memorial for her. So no, we haven't had any contact in between us individually.
Okay. The only contact I had with him is whenever he texted our family saying, good job, this is what happens, blah, 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 blaming us for Mica passing away. And then whenever he saw me at the mall, and then he said he thought I was Mica, and he yelled Mica, even though I was holding my baby and my son was with me.
That had to be beyond devastating.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. My son, he's 8 now. He was 7 at the time, and he's like, we have to leave right now because he felt very endangered at that moment.
Somebody asked a question, I'm going to find it again. Somebody asked a really good question about this for you guys. Do you think that he followed you all to the mall, or do you think it was just a coincidence? That's actually a good question, I think.
To be honest, I don't know how to answer that. I don't want to. I wouldn't want to speculate that he did follow her there, just because, of course, we have to be careful with what we say. Obviously. With court cases coming up, and then as well as defamation. I know that's something that has been in the works, so we just want to be careful with what we say.
Yeah, that makes total sense. I get that. Yeah, anything obviously that y'all don't want to answer, y'all aren't comfortable answering, that's totally within your right, and that will be respected. Boundaries are respected.
Thank you.
Did you take notes when he was talking about the PI putting trackers on her car and why he said that was?
I didn't. It was, yeah, I did. Yeah, it was basically for people who. Are you okay if I repeat that for people who weren't here?
Yeah, I want to make sure I heard the same thing that everyone
Yeah.
else heard.
So what I heard was that it was so if she went anywhere near a gun store, he would know about it, and that it wasn't him that wasn't he that did it. It was the PI that was putting the trackers there.
Yes, so my question is if you hired a PI and they've been tracking Mica for months, which was documented and she knew, and she goes to a pawn shop where you know that they sell guns, and you're telling me somebody's tracking her and reporting to you, and if she goes to a gun store, their job is to call you, did that call get made?
One thing that I've said, I don't know if you've seen this video that I haven't really been able to kind of wrap my head around when you're talking about, TikTok, we're not allowed to use adult words here, so we'll say self-unaliving. Um, to me, you don't buy a SIG to do that. You guys, my understanding based on the interview that you did with your dad, you guys grew up around guns, you know guns. A SIG is not a one-time use gun. That's a protection gun. And they're not cheap.
I also heard, obviously there's a lot of through the grapevine, there's a lot of people talking and just, I heard this or so and so said this. It was relayed to me that the pawn shop employee said that she verbally told them, I'm buying this for protection, which I have not spoke to him, but it would line up with what she told everyone else, is that she thought she needed a gun for protection.
Yeah, that's kind of the point that I was getting to with that is like, there's a lot cheaper options if you're buying something for a single use,
Mm-hmm.
a SIG is a very reliable firearm, and you're going to buy that because you need something long term that's going to be reliable.
Mm-hmm.
And that's so the person that gave you that information about what she relayed to the shop owner. Do you feel like that came from a reputable source or just from somebody?
Well, I
Like
haven't spoken to the
yeah.
shop employee directly, so I really can't, speak to that.
Okay.
They would have to, make their
Yeah.
own post, or I'd have to be able to read the police records or anything, but we haven't seen anything, like that.
He also made a comment about him possibly believing that she might have been pregnant. Did y'all catch that part, or did you hear that part at all?
Yeah,
We did hear him mention that. None of the family believes that that was a possibility at all.
And if that was a possibility, wouldn't he have reason to make sure there was an autopsy instead of saying he got blowed off and that they said it was not necessary? I mean, if I was married and my spouse passed away and, I thought they had a possibility of being pregnant, then obviously I'd be like, no, that's important to know. But that's just me thinking logically about it.
I would agree. That makes a lot of sense. And he also made a comment about ordering a toxicology. So they did that, but not an autopsy. But
Can you ladies can you ladies confirm, were you told no toxicology report was ordered?
I believe that we were told the only report that was ordered was a toxicology.
Okay.
Which I did make mention to him. He told me that he was going to go to the hospital to see her on that Sunday. And I did request a full toxicology, but when we spoke to Robeson County, they told us that it was just a blood alcohol. So it then had to be requested to do a full toxicology.
Okay. And do you have any? I know that he's expecting the results back. Are y'all supposed to get a copy of that as well, that you know of?
As far as I am aware, we were the only people that requested that.
Okay. He made it sound like it was
not,
him.
Which
He could
I
have
can't
ordered
speak
the
for
same
if
thing,
he
but
ordered
we're
it
not
or
aware of
not,
that.
but when we spoke to Robeson, they told us that the only thing that they normally do would just be a blood alcohol. And so, to the best of our knowledge at that time, when we had to make the formal request, it was only for the blood alcohol, not for a full toxicology.
Something else he said on top of that was that they had discussed, and she may or may not. I based on what I understand, she shared a lot with you all. Y'all are all very close as sisters. He said that they had discussed obviously what would happen in the event that one of them passed, and he said very much, she wanted to be cremated. Do you know if that was accurate?
Micah did, I think probably all of us planned to be cremated in our passing. However, the way that her cremation took place was definitely not ideal. I mean, being told by the police over and over and over again that they can't give us any information regarding her investigation of her death, but that they have everything that they needed from her body. And again, over and over and over again, we were told we have everything that we need from her body. We don't need anything else from her body. We believed firmly that there was an autopsy done and that there would have been a full toxicology done. I mean, we're not law enforcement officers, but just we would think that that would be basic police work that would have been done.
So
And it was not. So to find out that that was not done was actually pretty heartbreaking.
So you guys are
that every avenue was explored and that they no longer needed her remains, and we all had to come to the agreement: if our only option is to sign this paper and get to say goodbye to her, we didn't think we had an option at that point. Either yes, we sign and we get to say goodbye to her, or which it was our parents, or no, we don't sign and then nobody gets to see her, say goodbye, get any ashes or anything like that. So it was a really horrible situation to be put in, and like to the point where our mom passed out. It was heartbreaking.
Yeah, I would imagine that's beyond under duress given the situation. Was there obviously y'all have had lawyers involved pretty early, and I know when this all happened, you're in shock. It was not expected. Was there any opportunity because they've been separated since formally separated since what, January or February? Is that about accurate?
I believe February was the final.
Yeah, the court docs.
Right.
They had been separated multiple times.
Yeah, that I knew too, but I think that like officially, legally, I'm using, for a better word, like the February thing. So would there have been an option for y'all? Do you know if there was an option for you guys to do some kind of injunction?
We did. As far as I'm aware, my brother did ask a sheriff or somebody. Sorry, we're trying to set this up so my sister doesn't have to hold it. I don't know if that's really gonna work.
I know, yeah, the small screen makes it difficult.
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, my brother did call and request an injunction, and it was not granted.
Okay. The other thing that because obviously y'all have done a few interviews, but you're on the app, what's going on. You see, there's a lot of rumors and stuff that flies around. I'm not going to give anything specific because there are so many. But is there anything while we have you here that you guys just want to address at all? Just, completely your choice.
Which I was trying to do interviews and things like that just to keep the story straight and make sure that information was coming directly from family and, people who actually knew her current time. But then I'd be doing interviews and they would start playing videos of Mica and they'd start playing videos of John Paul, and I almost passed out on a few of them. So I just, kind of took a step back because it was just too much.
I understand that. What happens, the thing about this whole genre of true crime, current events, especially when it comes to larger cases, is people have a tendency to forget that there's real people and real families involved in this. There have been, I can't remember what it was, but there has been something that came, I think, from this scenario that was like, okay, yeah, that's definitely just fake. But with Joe Petito was in here a little bit earlier. I don't know if he's still here, but like during his daughter's case, there were people making up things with Brian Laundrie, with Idaho 4. There are people that make up things because they don't care that there are people out there that are being affected by this. And so that can make it very, very difficult. And then you spend time trying to quell these rumors versus trying to spend the time that you need to try to discuss the situation and keep the momentum moving forward. So I know the pain of that.
I think one thing that we really wanted to do was to keep the focus on Mica, with so many people wanting to be involved and wanting to to shed light on Mica's story, it can be a bonus, but also at the same time, it can be a little damaging because all the information is going to one source versus the police or to the family or to anyone else that might be involved officially. And so I think that's been something that we're starting to come up to battle a little bit, which has been a little bit difficult. But I mean, again, the focus is we want the focus to be on Mica. I mean, she went through some horrific things from, I mean, I say from her own mouth, obviously she's passed, but things that she left behind or things that she told us. And I think some of even the grotesque details of what she went through being shared has definitely been something that's been hard on the family.
I definitely want to say something about that when I have a chance, because I know what you're talking about. So I did a video on those things as well, and just being interest of transparency. And here's the thing about it. I know that it's grotesque. I know that it's deviant, might be a nice word for it. But I also think that it paints a picture of what Mica was going through.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's important to the overall picture, just my opinion, no matter how difficult and how disturbing it is. Because I think that it really shows the level of what she was enduring on a daily basis.
And the thing about that I also want to, touch on is if people are disclosing this information, like for instance, if somebody were to message you and say, hey, Mica told me about this, or I witnessed this, or so and so said this, that abuse should be documented and given to the proper authorities versus just saying, oh, well, you'll stay anonymous and I'll post about it. Because if somebody can corroborate something that happened, I think it's very important that that gets to the authorities. That way it's not just sitting on TikTok, it's not just sitting on Facebook, it's actually going towards the case and like you said, showing what she did endure.
I think let me just ask you this, because
I was trying to find a place to interject because I don't want to be up here long. I wanted to let you know from the chat. I don't know if it's up here, but whenever Robbie is unmuted, it echoes real bad and we can't hear anything. I was trying to let you know that in the chat, and I couldn't let you know. That's all. No, that's all.
Here, I'm going to leave and come back. Is it working now fine or no?
No, it's
All right, I'm going to leave and come back.
you might have to close the whole app and come back.
Yeah, that's all I wanted to say to you, bro. I didn't want to take up space. To the Miller family, I'm sorry, to the Francis family, you have my condolences. You really do. But I didn't want to take up any of your space up here.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Thank you.
So I got distracted on that for a second, but yeah, what you're talking about with people remaining anonymous. My understanding, so I'm not in this community. I actually used to have a place in Myrtle Beach, and I loved the area. I had a place actually in Surfside for a while, and loved it. But I'm not familiar, obviously, with this portion of it. But my understanding that there's a lot of people who fear repercussions from JP. And maybe that's could be what's preventing them from coming forward. I'm not saying that that's a good reason, but I've heard from various people that when they speak out, they're worried, they want to stay anonymous when they do for that reason. But I think to what you said, because we have a lot of people in here watching, I'm going to go and play devil's advocate to myself here for a second and say, if you do have some information out there that can corroborate, then you can anonymously go to the authorities and request to remain anonymous, and until if and when things progress forward. For what that's worth.
Something Mica faced too was people always telling her, well, I'll help you behind the scenes, or I believe you, but I'm not going to come forward about it, or yeah, that happened to me too, but I don't want him to backlash towards them. And that really just, it hurts us because she really did try to talk to the police, talk to her church family, talk to her real family, get help. And she did everything she was supposed to do.
Yeah, and also I've seen a lot of. I actually somebody did a FOIA request, and so they sent somebody that I work with. It's Crime Scene Collective. He often works behind the scenes. I don't know if you're familiar with. His name is Ethan, but he did a FOIA request and got like a ton of documents, some stuff that nobody's really seen yet. But it just the amount of. I don't think I've ever seen this many reports filed between two people ever.
Mm-hmm.
It's I mean, the police had to have known both of them on a first name basis.
Well, and I think some of the things that are coming out as well, I mean, not necessarily that the family has seen everything. And so when people are getting that information and getting it out there, I mean, we have something set up for tips for the family as well through our lawyer as well. So if they have that info and if they can do that, I mean, we'll definitely, we would love to get that information as well.
Robbie, you're echoing.
I'm not even
Well, I think it's unfortunately. I think Robbie's TikTok is not wanting to play nice with him tonight. Do you, for people on here, do you want to give that number out, the tip line, or?
So it's justiceformicatips@gmail.com.
So if you know anybody, I mean, there's a lot of people in here who want to say anything, and you want to do a tip, you want to remain anonymous, you can do that.
Anything that's coming in, we're not saying, oh, you're not going to be anonymous, but if it's important and the police need to know about it, yes, the police will be the ones reach out. It wouldn't be us, being like, I'm going to post this online, because that's not what we're looking for. We want to make sure that everything's getting to the proper authorities.
Yeah, I would venture to say that probably everything you get, very little of it do you probably share online.
Well, the thing about it is too, is we want to build the best possible case that we can. And so we don't want to share everything online, because everything that's shared online is, of course, going to be public information, and that's assisting the other side as well. And that's something that we're hoping that doesn't continue to happen, just because, I mean, obviously there are things that are going to be shared, but he has a boatload of information right now coming from multiple different areas. And so it's hard too, because things that could be, say our smoking gun could be now theirs, because it is being just poured out there everywhere. And again, it's information that we might not have even seen as the family.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Am I echoing again?
No, you're good.
All right.
You fixed it.
I will say this: there's a lot that the public doesn't know about this case, and I shared some things with Sierra earlier that it is kind of just there's a lot that the public doesn't know, and you guys are right. I've got three contacts. If I find any information that's needed, the FBI immediately, I give them the direct lead investigator. But there are a lot of, I've heard some wild theories out there about this case. And I guess I'm trying to word it carefully so it doesn't give anybody any ammunition. Yeah, sorry. I'm just kind of lost at words of what we've listened to tonight. And he said some really interesting things. And it almost seemed like he was suggesting that she did not do this. It almost seemed like he was suggesting that someone is responsible for her death. I mean, am I the only one that got that, or
I mean, if you base it off of the text message he sent our family, he blamed us immediately after he found out about her passing away. So there's no telling what he's going to say or who he's going to pass the blame to, as our father said.
Why is there so much hate? I don't want to say hate, but
let's say animosity.
Yeah, why is there that animosity between your family and him?
It seems like it was prior to this. So obviously we know the reason now, but prior to this.
I think just our family personally witnessing Mica's demeanor and personally witnessing what she told us about what was going on in her life, I think would be pretty easy to say that there could be some extreme frustration on the situation. I mean, in my personal opinion, how could you, when I grew up, church, there's the congregation, the elders and then the pastor. And so as far as like the way that the accountability should go for the church, and so the, there should be much more standards is what I'm trying to say, I guess, in my personal opinion and my personal beliefs for a pastor. And the things that have been done, I understand that everyone falls short of the glory of God, and that's understandable. But when you put yourself at the standard that is supposed to be held high, and you repeatedly continue to fall below that grace, I think that maybe there's something that should have been looked at, that you should not have been leading a congregation.
I've heard multiple reports from people who knew Mica that when she left him in February, she started to become her old self again. Is that what you guys saw?
Yeah,
Yes.
I agree with that. Every time they had distance between the two of them, she did very well.
I want to ask you something that's a little bit different because I know how heavy this is and constantly talking about this kind of stuff is. Would y'all want to share like a nice memory that y'all have, something that like makes you smile when you think
I
back?
was just about to ask that. Yeah.
If you don't want to, if it's personal, that's okay. You don't have to, but I just feel with all this heavy stuff, it might be, you know, a nice little bit of a relief.
I mean, a couple months ago, Mica came here to visit. She was visiting here very often to see me and my children, and we went and did a a donut fundraiser for Krispy Kreme donuts, and we went to all the car dealerships. And her and my son went in there and told everybody about Africa and all the children she met, and she raised so much money for them. And that was definitely one of her passions, was she wanted to go back there and be able to spend time with them and grow that ministry. So that was really nice for my son and her to have that bonding experience.
That's beautiful.
It's funny you said something about your kids. When Micah stayed with me, I believe it was the beginning of last year, they had another time where they were separated, and so she came to stay with me in Kansas for a couple of months. And so it was actually a really amazing experience because my kids got to develop that really good relationship with her, and she loved working out and being fit. And so she ended up getting a membership there near where I live, and my son absolutely enjoyed that moment with her because they would go and work out and have this fun time, and my daughter would go, and that was just something that they cherished because they got that individual time with her. Unfortunately, a lot of the time, from what we saw when they were together, we didn't get to see a lot of our sister, and so it was very nice in that time that we did get to have with her.
Can I ask about Kansas? I've spoken with members of the worship team that she was a part of at the church. Did you guys go to the same church?
So when Micah was with me, we visited a couple different churches, and then she ended up finding that church by herself. She did meet a couple people and started to try to get involved, and of course her heart was people and God, and so she really tried to immerse herself there. And so I did not go with her to that church. I was going somewhere else, and like I said, we visited multiple just because I wanted her to find somewhere that she felt comfortable as well. And it was very different for her because her previous church, of course, was Solid Rock, and her husband was the pastor. And so seeing her reach out and branch was super great.
Can you talk about? I've been told that she just up and left. That she just up and just texted everyone one day and said she's headed back to Myrtle Beach. Is that true? I've never reported on that, but is that what happened, or what happened when she came back?
So whenever she left Kansas, essentially, from what I understood, he had sent her away, and so he was doing something different in their relationship and time frame, and she was I mean, upset, but also trying to start over. And then he said, "Hey, you know, I,
If this is basically how it is, if this is our opinion, if he said jump, she said how high,
for a long time."
and it was not always, ideal for us to see that. But when you are in that situation for 15 years, I mean, that's something hard to break.
It's hard to really, when you're an outsider watching that, it's really hard to do anything about it. You know, it has to, unfortunately, the decision has to come from them, and you can advise and you can help and you can be there. But I think the average to leave a situation like that is 7 times.
I've heard that statistic as well. But
That's
I think at
awful.
that time frame, something that I always wanted to do for her and I tried to still do for her after death was just in Kansas, I was able to be far enough away from the situation to almost be a safe haven. And so that's what I tried to be for her while she came and tried to be for her also after she returned.
I don't want to speculate about Friday. John Paul was served on Thursday. Did any of you speak with Mica on Friday? I've seen text messages from her on Friday. She seemed like she was in a great mood. Did any of you speak with her on Friday, and how was she?
I'm not sure if I spoke with her Thursday or Friday, but we were talking about how she was building playlists of like music that she liked, outside of just praise and worship music. She was just building, like, if I'm in the car on the way to work, what fun music can I listen to? And she was just, we were just talking about her next playlist that she was building for her day-to-day schedule.
And I didn't speak to her that Thursday or Friday, but my last conversation with her was quite lengthy. And she was just, I mean, excited for how things were moving. She was excited to try to feel like she was starting to gain control over her life again. Their conversation before that, she had just told me about how scared she was all of the time, and how she just felt like she couldn't get a job. She couldn't do anything because her her surroundings were so controlled. She felt like if she got a job and got out there, that there would be harassment there. She was afraid to leave her apartment. She was so terrified, and so to have that last conversation with her where she was having hope, was amazing.
So you and I don't. You can, you know, this is just a question. Do you believe Micah feared for her life?
100%. She told multiple people, not even just family, other people as well.
Okay, so that's the first I've heard that, because I've only heard that from you guys. So you're saying there are multiple people out there that can vouch for Micah feared her husband.
I think the fact that she wouldn't purchase the firearm kind of says that for protection.
Well, I'll be honest with you, ladies. I don't, I know we just began talking the other day, but I've always maintained that Micah did this herself. But in my opinion, she was pushed to do so. Um, but with the comments of Charlotte, Micah's best friend, you now have to really question what really happened that day.
Which we did ask when we did have our sit down with the police department in North Carolina, and they gave us the timeline that was given to everyone else. We asked them if they checked for trackers on her vehicle, and they said no.
Okay, so what did you ask them that day, or did you ask them that when they called you up for that
We
meeting?
asked them in person when we met them in North Carolina, did they check for trackers on her vehicle, and they said no.
I think it was a Tuesday.
Now, you had actually asked a bunch of questions for that, and the answer to everything was no. I saw the interview that you all did.
It was
like,
mostly no, North Carolina doesn't.
nothing. Yeah.
Can you ladies confirm, is there a different version of the 911 call?
I can't say that there is a different version. I'm not really sure what that would, I guess, mean.
Well, your father has said there's screaming. In it.
I think what he was referring to is that the 911 call, I think that was initially released, was a shorter version than the full version. And I think
Okay,
that
that's what I'm asking. So you're saying the one that was released is not the full version? That's your belief?
our belief initially, yes, is the
Okay.
one that was played to us when we went to get the timeline was shorter than the one that we were given when we left.
Uh, why would they do? I guess I'm just not understanding why. And 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 I'm going off of interviews your father has done. Um, they had no answer for you in regards of the two casings that were found at the scene.
No, which I believe it's been put out there as public knowledge because I've heard it a couple times. But two casings in a live round.
Yes, yes, that is very public.
And yeah, and respectfully, Robbie, I think that, with what we know is probably all we're gonna. I would imagine that anything else that's out there, they probably aren't able to tell us because it could jeopardize any investigation or court
Oh
cases that
yeah,
are going.
yeah, and that's why I'm simply wanting to
Yeah.
confirm what the father has said. If there is indeed a different version of the 911 call, I'm just kind of questioning why the police would not release that version.
Which I think I've heard probably both versions out there now. The shorter clip, like I said, that was initially released with the timeline, but I've heard several other versions of, I think, the longer call, which people are saying with audio enhancement, there's other voices in the background. And so that's something I think that's been put out there on TikTok that we looked at last evening. Um, and I think that everything that just keeps coming out, it gives a lot of call for speculation. I don't think that Mica's story at all is very cut and dry. It's not black and white. There's a whole lot of gray, and sifting through that gray is kind of what we're trying to do.
Yeah, this is a very, it's South Carolina, and so one easy comparison is the Murdochs. It's somebody, in their little area, they had a lot of power, and the more you learned about them, the more layers you found. And I feel like the amount of layers surrounding Mica and JP and Solid Rock and all of that, it is in line with that, maybe even more so, especially once you get to the point where you bring in, um, you know, JP's father and that whole offshoot of things. There is nothing about this that's black and white.
Mm-mm.
Which I've seen the information come out about Pakistan
Yeah.
and Mr. Miller Sr., I guess. But I don't really have a whole lot to comment on that. Again, I just want to be very careful that I don't cause defamation. And so everything I guess I say would be in my personal opinion. But there are a lot of things that have come out about, well, a few of the Millers, I guess, actually. And I would say domestic violence. I know, I can't think of his name right now, but John Paul's son had the domestic violence
Yeah, so
against him.
January and November.
Yeah, I think Logan is his name or
Logan,
something like that.
thank you.
Yeah.
I was thinking of the younger son, and I didn't want to bring his name in here and try
Yeah.
to say anything that he did when it wasn't him. But again, we want to get the correct information out there, but we want to be very careful in how we do it.
Absolutely.
Just because again, we want to be able to build the best case that we can, but also not give the other side too much information on what we have. And so that's something that, again, like I said, we're battling, but it's also hard because we do want, people like Mr. Harvey and people like you, Justin, to be able to continue Micah's story and keep telling it and keeping the pressure going, because that's something also that's gonna, just keep her story going, which really her story was she loved people and wanted to live life to the fullest and spread God's love to everyone. And so that's something that's been super hard because we haven't been able to do that just yet.
Yeah.
And for the record, my platform will always be available. You know, the whole purpose of it is to amplify voices for those who need it or want it. The other thing that I want to say before I forget, and he was in here a little while, I don't think he's in here right now because no, he's not. I have a feeling based on talking to y'all and what I've seen that once you guys do get to whatever point where you're never going to be happy, you're never going to be satisfied, but where you get to a point where you're accepting of whatever closure you all come to, you're probably going to want to continue this on with a fight in her name. And so I'd like to put you in touch with. Do you know who Joe Petito is?
I do not. I feel like I've heard the name before, but
His
I
daughter
can't
was
know it.
Gabby Petito, and she was killed under domestic violence um, a few years ago out in Wyoming. Her boyfriend fiance fled back to Florida, and in his remains of him. Anyways, when his daughter passed away from that, him and his family created the Gabby Petito Foundation. And when I tell you that they are literally changing laws and legislation in states on the way that they handle domestic violence, he's changed it, I believe, in Florida, New York, and Utah so far. And he's also working from they're working on the national side. And I feel like he would be a very good contact for y'all to have. Plus, unfortunately, you all are now part of a very shitty club that he can also understand and be a voice of guidance because he's been there. And he's also had to fight people who fought him every step of the way. So, Sierra, I believe I have your number, so I'll shoot you that information so you have it, and I'll see. And all he's CrimeCon's in Nashville, which is where I live, and he's here, so I'm actually going to see him tomorrow. So I'll run this by him as well.
Okay. Well, and one thing I think that's great too that, I mean, Mike has been able to touch people all over the world um, with her story, and so I think that it's also a great way to, I mean, like you said, touch on the legislation and touch on mental health and again bring awareness to domestic violence because domestic violence does not always it's not always a closed fist and broken bones. Um, those can heal, but I think the domestic violence, when it's mental and emotional, those are scars that very much
Hundred
take
percent,
time or never heal.
100% the scars you can't see. Um, no, I totally agree with you on that. But that's kind of the point of what they've tried to do. He's Gabby's whole family. They just were like, well, this happened. We want to make sure it doesn't happen again. And for what it's worth to y'all, I don't know if you can take any solace in this, but right after everything happened, I had somebody on whose husband was part of Solid Rock and I guess closer to JP's inner circle, and she started becoming basically within a year and a half of being in that church, she felt that her husband did a complete, basically 180. And Mica's story gave her the strength to leave her husband. And I've had at least 3 other people reach out to me privately saying the same thing. So I don't know if you can take any solace in that, but know that her story does resonate with people enough to that point.
Yeah, and I hope that they are, doing that in a safe way and that they have support.
Um, Ladies, share your GoFundMe, how people can help and help you guys, because it's an expensive process no matter which way we look at it. So how can people reach out to you guys and help you guys?
I believe it's called Justice for Mica. Our sister Alana's boyfriend Ryan set it up, so it should be like as Ryan Williams, and it's called Justice for Mica.
So it should be www.justiceformica.com, correct? And then they have the GoFundMe on there.
Yeah, I believe the GoFundMe is also shared on there.
There was another website, I believe, with the GoFundMe. Dr. Dobson had actually set up another one for that as well, just in case people needed or couldn't find the Justice for Mica. Because I know that with different things going on out there too, sometimes some of the Justice for Mica gets swapped, or you don't know who is actually doing what, and so the www.justiceformica is us.
But all
Can I ask?
do
Oh, I'm
sorry,
sorry.
real quick, Rob, while
I
we're
was just
while you're talking, hold on. I'll give it to you, I promise. I'm going to go ahead while Robbie's talking, and I'm going to put the GoFundMe on my webpage, which is justontiktok.com, for anybody who wants to go donate it. Link is in my bio, but I'll tell y'all when it's up. Sorry, Robbie, go ahead.
I was just going to ask, how are y'all's parents doing?
I mean, as well as I guess anybody would expect. I think our whole family's struggling pretty hard.
I can't imagine, like, first of all, I can't imagine the rage. What I know you guys knew a lot. Is there anything you guys didn't know that has come out since this? And how did you just contain like that rage inside? I just don't understand how you guys are going through this.
I know, like, a few days after Micah passed away, whenever I was in Myrtle, I opened my phone and I saw on Facebook, like, this is just an example, a post that Kyler had made in the very beginning, and it was detailing some abuse that, just kind of set our whole family off pretty bad. And I called my brother and I read the post, and he was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, he kind of was like, I didn't even know about that. Like, it really hurt him to hear it. So me just reading it off the cuff, because I didn't realize, like, I was just reading it because I was so upset about it. And I reached out to her personally and I just said, hey, like, that is abuse that, in my opinion, either came from the abuser or somebody who witnessed it or was involved in it. And I said, please make sure that if you're advocating for the victims, like, take that down and give it to the authorities, not put it on Facebook. So instances like that where we're all trying to, put the story out there, get justice and show what happened, but also having to be so careful about what's getting put out there, because just in that quick instance, like, my brother finding out about something because I see it and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I can't believe this is on the internet. But like everybody's saying, I mean, some of the information is going to get out. Some of it is going to be horrible.
And luckily that part was redacted.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So, like, we see it and then we have to either say, hey, get it to the cops, or if people send us something and we're like, whoa, I can't believe, like, that you were told that, make sure you give it to the police, that kind of stuff. I mean, it is hard.
I don't think I can give you a good answer for that, because, to be quite honest, sometimes it feels like I'm a moment away from just losing it all emotionally, just because, I mean, having this tragedy happen to your sister, and for all my siblings, they're all my baby siblings because I'm the oldest, and so also you're the oldest, you're part caretaker, and so having that big sense of responsibility, and then hearing that your sibling went through all of this, and a lot of it was alone, or the feeling of being alone. I don't think that there's quite a way for me to deal with all that rage and pain right now. So I think right now I'm just trying to use it to fuel her fight and to continue that for her, with the lawyers and trying to press for the GoFundMe. Thank you guys. Or also trying to just also keep her story going for her missions. She wanted to do missions so much and planned to continue doing missions, and so that's also something that I'm trying to help fuel me to keep going, and taking my love for her to try to kind of outweigh the rage, because, quite frankly, I don't think that's something that we will be able to deal with for a while.
Real quick, for anybody who is interested in donating to their GoFundMe, because legal processes are incredibly expensive, I did just post it on my webpage. It's the very top link when you scroll down to the link section. It is their site. It is confirmed, obviously, by them. So if you would like to make a donation and help, that is where you can do so.
Well, you guys are incredible. Like, y'all really are. I'm just, I think about you guys all the time. So I really, I'm so sorry y'all have to go through this. So anything we can do to help y'all, just let us know.
We appreciate that, sincerely, from the entire family. We appreciate that. It's definitely, we're sorry too, because it's not something that we would wish on anyone, and especially the tragic way that her life was cut short.
And just her life leading up to it. I mean, you guys are seeing everything coming out that she didn't want anybody to know any of this. That's why even if you talk to the lawyer, she has made statements that Mica wasn't doing, like, she wasn't trying to drag her husband. She was just simply wanting to be out of the situation.
Was it her love, and maybe you can understand this question, was it her love for God and Christ that kept her in the relationship, or was it her love for John Paul?
I mean, it was probably, I'm sure, over all the years, a mix of both, but I also know that even multiple times of leaving and being convinced to come back, it was on the basis of a good Christian wife wouldn't do that.
Manipulation, in my opinion.
Definitely manipulation.
And her love for Christ, definitely she wanted to be a godly wife and submit to her husband and make God proud. But as you can see in one of her last videos, she says, I'm also the bride of Christ. And so if I'm being this mistreated, do you think that God would be happy as well?
Mm-hmm. Which that's one thing I told her all the time, like, God wouldn't put you on this earth to be miserable. There's no way that your intention to be here is to just be a doormat. And I mean, she was working very hard to, she was seeking counseling from pastors, and she was trying to understand that she did not have to stay in a situation that was not healthy for her.
And in my personal opinion, I think that I don't want to say that she didn't love John Paul, because she did. Mm-hmm. But I also think that the way that their relationship or introduction of relationship and even just meeting each other, I think created a sense of something different, which I don't necessarily want to put a name on. But I think that it created something different, and maybe a love was developed out of something more sadistic. Which, of course, no one wants to go down for defamation, but looking at other people's cases, I think it would be, I don't want to say Stockholm Syndrome, but something probably pretty close, as well as grooming.
When you're somebody who is 28 and 14, what I've said a lot of times is there is nothing that age gap could have in common. Not really. Not till you're much older.
Well, and I think that, of course, all relationships can start out as innocent and develop into something different, but at 14, you are extremely impressionable. Mm-hmm. And true. So, especially, I don't want to say that Mica was extremely naive, but when she was young, she was, and who isn't? But I think that again just leaves you in a vulnerable state.
Especially when you're talking about a religious leader who you trust.
I know a lot of people have made comments, and a lot of people have, from the outside, said, well, where was her family when she was being groomed in this alleged grooming, or why didn't anybody step up and help her? Because I've seen people post saying, well, we saw the grooming, and we saw this behavior, we saw that. And the family did try to keep them separate. They did try to, like, our parents got us out of that church. And we did try to leave, and then, like an example, DSS was called, and Mica was put in random homes until she aged 18 because our parents would not sign for her to get married at 17. And DSS did not remove her. They said there was nothing to be done. It was just like a discredited, somebody was disgruntled, so they convinced Mica to call DSS and say we had no food in the home and all this and that. And then other church members, even recently, after Mica passed, called me and said, we didn't know that we were being used as pawns. We thought you guys were unsafe, and that's why we let Mica bounce around our homes until she turned 18. And they said they would be willing to make statements. They would be willing to, testify or whatever they needed to do, because they didn't realize that it was all, part of this whole.
Which is why we believe that there was grooming. Again, that starts with the isolation and getting her away from the family. And that's definitely where it started.
And I want to say that I appreciate you addressing that, but anybody who's making those comments, that's victim blaming, that's victim shaming, because it's not the parents' fault. It's not your parents' fault. It's not your fault. You know, it's only the fault of the groomer, you know. And when you're a teenager, if somebody says you can't be with this person, what are you gonna, you're gonna go be with that person. You know, that's just how it is being a teenager. So people sitting there who want to, you know, live in their glass house and point fingers, it's just not okay. And frankly, I mean, again, I appreciate you responding, but they're owed zero explanation.
Which even, yeah, I mean, obviously I agree with you. People shouldn't be saying, you know, that a 14-year-old, a 15-year-old, 16-year-old can understand the gravity of something happening in that situation. Like, I mean, obviously
Right.
all of us have been that age where we think, oh, we love this person or they love me. But I also know my mom, she did mention to me and my stepdad, Michael Honeycutt, like at that time, my stepdad. I know people are getting confused with my mom's current husband, Abel, being our stepdad as well. But at that time, it was our mother and our father, Michael Honeycutt. They did call the cops and they did try to get her, you know, brought back home. And they were told, well, she's going to be 18 soon. There's like nothing we can do. But we are trying to, you know, see if we can access any police reports, if any of them were made at that time, to, you know, clarify on all of this that's being muddied ridiculously.
Well, and even then, I remember us being told that she could leave the home, but they couldn't deny her access to the home because of her age. And so there wasn't anything that our parents could do to get her back in the home because of the way that South Carolina is set up. But again, which we wouldn't deny her access to the home anyways because we obviously wanted her back home. But that's what we were being told by law enforcement. Well, we can't force her to come back, but also you can't make sure that she doesn't.
So the department, it's called different things in different states. DSS was called only for Mica and not for any of you or your brother, or
they were called on
just
the
for
whole
Micah?
home. So basically, Micah, the way I remember it, you know, at this time I was like maybe 15 or 16. Micah was convinced, or somebody helped her to call DSS and say that we needed to be you know, looked into and see if the home was unsafe, and she was being bounced from home to home, and they were trying to get a legal reason for her to leave because our parents were like, no, she doesn't need to be staying with strangers in the church. She needs to be home with her family. And in order to try to cement her not being home, there was an idea put, oh well, let's just call DSS and try to force them to give us a reason, and that didn't work, obviously.
Gotcha. Wow.
And Kyler, I know you've been sitting there very quietly. Did you have anything you wanted to add? I'm gonna put them on the spot. They might not.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear
Sorry,
you.
I've got the.
Am I still echoing?
No.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I don't really know what to say. I'm also trying to be, you know, very like careful with my words. I don't think that anybody is like upset with anybody. I think that that's what people are not realizing. Like, I don't know. And Daniel is here too because, you know, there's a lot that has been said and done that we never like. You know, we didn't intend to, you know, like step on toes or anything like that. I mean, I have had conversations with both Sierra and Destiny, and you know, I started out doing this from the beginning, and I'm not sure why people like you know, people on TikTok and stuff, not you know, not anyone in the family, but people have been really like angry and hateful and saying a lot of things that just aren't true when they don't know the whole story. And you know, we've kind of been put in a difficult position because there's a lot of red tape with legal battles. And so, we started out giving information to them, and later on, we were told that we shouldn't talk to them at all. So it kind of has put us in an interesting spot. And I think that Daniel can probably elaborate a lot better, because I've been getting a lot of hate today on social media, and my mind is kind of all over the place, and I've been trying to let everyone else talk and say what they need to say too. But since my name was mentioned earlier, when I did that back in the first part of the case, I did apologize to everyone in the family, and it was well received. And nobody has ever been sorry. What did you say?
That was definitely cleared up. I was just saying, because he was mentioning earlier about when stuff comes out online, how do we handle it? And I was just, you saw how I
and
my gosh, call the cops. I was freaking out. I was like, people are, giving information that is so crazy that it's important for the police to know that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too, is we've never not been reporting stuff to the proper authorities, and that's something else I want people to realize as well, and especially you guys. There have been times that I have sent messages and haven't gotten a response, and then other times that we were, I don't know, I think that Daniel could probably elaborate a little bit better on the red tape and the
I mean, I'm just here more or less for transparent. I'm just more here for transparency. There's an issue with Robertson County and their history. Robbie and I have spoken of that together. There's a lot of things and a lot of moving parts in all of this, and there's a lot of hard work on my end to be able to get information to you guys and want to help. And that's truly out of my heart. I'm not here to get likes. I'm not here to get fame, and anything out of this collectively. I know you guys may not know my story, but 10 years ago, my father was shot and killed by a former business partner of his, quail hunting in Alabama. And it weighed on my heart seeing this, because I have a child of my own. And to lose somebody so close to you, and we had to investigate all of these matters, because prior to this, my father was, a wealthy businessman, everything else, and he donated, his CEO of the company donated monies and everything else. And going into the investigative part of it, he essentially came out, and we had to investigate, even though at the time my mother was an attorney. And my mother wanted nothing to do with it, but my brother and I took that drive, and we went forward to get answers for our family, to figure out everything that's going on. And I've followed up with so many people to get all of these facts. I left law enforcement in general because of corruption. I've seen it happen. They will do it, just like Robertson County not being transparent with their reports and releasing reports, even though they're being FOIA'd, and other agencies are looking into that. They still have that obligation to release that. And Kyler are doing our best to be very transparent. And I don't want there to be red tape. I want there to be able to be an open communication along those lines, so that we can communicate with you guys and let you guys know what is going on.
When you say red tape, are you guys talking about the email?
Yes. Absolutely.
So, I keep hearing that being brought up, but I know Kyler's name wasn't mentioned in that at all. And after the email was sent, then you guys reached out to a third party, who then reached out to me, who asked what that was about. And it was clarified that that was specifically so that everybody understood that we did not hire
That's correct.
the PI. And then it was cleared up at that point. So then today I'm not understanding why all of a sudden now it's red tape, whenever before today it wasn't an issue.
Well, let me interject here. I'm not necessarily familiar. I'm kind of picking up, context clues on the email, stuff like that. But at the end of the day, unless I'm told otherwise, I would imagine that everybody, whether there's always seeing eye to eye or not, everybody's working towards getting Mica's story out there and
Absolutely.
seeking justice for her. And I think that, in my opinion, that's what's most important here is, Mica's the one at the center of this. And I was saying this during Sebastian Rogers too, when all the stuff was going down. Sebastian was the center of that story. And I think that when you start getting hung up in all of these other aspects of it, focus gets lost on who the focus needs to be on.
And you're completely correct in that.
If that makes sense, which is Mica.
I definitely want to, I guess, address that. Kyler, we did speak in the beginning, but of course, we just want to be careful who we talk to. And again, you're doing your own independent investigation apart
That's
from the
correct.
family with
And
Daniel.
I've made it very apparent, like I've told Sierra, I don't want anything out of this. You guys as attorney is aware of this. And when I get told, I guess not to speak to you guys, that, I'm not, we're in a group at this point. So this is a group collaboration. When I'm getting told that I can't even speak to you, I can't collectively give you information of what I'm getting.
Well,
So
one
it
thing
wasn't
I
being
do,
said, do not speak to us. It was communicate through the lawyer because it was being shared on Facebook. And I did address that with Kyler as well. Everybody on Facebook was saying, oh, they hired him. He's hired. Kyler and him are working with the family. And that's whenever we had to legally, draw the line and say, no, we did not hire a PI.
No, you did not.
Then we had to communicate through a lawyer because that is the legal, proper way to handle it. That way there is no miscommunication. Or
Sure.
misconstrued, or people starting rumors. There has to be a clear line there.
well,
No,
and
I
one thing that
completely agree.
well, because and Daniel, I don't know you. I haven't spoken to you. I'm only, of course, just being told different things by other people. But one thing was that when you were talking to different people or working for your facts, that you were telling people that you were a police officer or that you were a detective. And so when you get information like that, if that happened, then that is something that we can't necessarily, that would not be admissible to court. That's under false pretenses. And so that's something that we definitely had to make clear, that is something that we can't support, obviously. And so, were you impersonating an officer when you were talking to other people for information?
No, absolutely not.
No.
I'm a licensed private investigator in South Carolina. I don't come out and tell people, I do let them know that I'm a private investigator. I'm investigating a matter that's going on. But no, I was formerly law enforcement, so I would not impersonate a law enforcement officer when that is not my position.
And that's definitely something that I'm glad that we can clear up because, again, like I said, we were being told that people would contact us and say, well, Detective
Well, a
Daniel.
lot of people, for whatever reason, try to use in other areas that a PI is a detective. That's what people try to collaboratively put out, that you're a detective.
We were told specifically that you were stating you were a detective, and then your last name. I don't know if you're saying your last name. We were told specifically that you were using the word detective and that you were on the case.
That's why we had to
So
make
why
legal.
we're making sure everybody is clear that we haven't hired a PI and that we want
That's correct.
everyone to go to the cops is because we don't want anything that you guys learn, anything that we learn, anything that TikTok and Facebook learns. We want it to all be found and given to the police in a way that it is a easy trail for them to follow and that they can actually use in, legal proceedings in court. We don't want anything that, it's amazing information and then nobody can use it because it was found the wrong way or it was taken out of context or whatever. That's why we're being so careful.
Well, and
No,
that's
I respect that.
we don't want it to be about you. We don't want it to be about us. We don't want it to be about Kyler or Justin or anybody else. Like, we want the main focus of everything to be about Mica. And I think today it kind of, the focus was lost a little bit, but
For
for
sure.
whatever reasons.
I feel like I missed whatever happened today. I'm sitting here like I have no idea. I'm getting it, but I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I made a post saying, hey, if you're getting information, don't just give it to Facebook people, TikTok people, give it to the cops.
Yeah.
Because she was getting a lot of stuff. It was screenshots sent to her or the family saying, oh, so and so had this information, but they gave it to Kyler, or so and so got this information, but they gave it to somebody on TikTok. So our sister made a post like, "Hey, if you have information that should be given to the cops, give it to the cops." And then a lot of people thought it was a personal attack, and kind of went from there.
Which again, we don't want it to be about anybody else but Mica. The whole point
everyone's goal is finding justice for Mica. It's just we have to make sure it's done the right way.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of what I'm getting at. And I'm not great with words all the time, especially when I'm nervous, and there's been a lot going on today. But you know, like I said, we were never not reporting to the proper authorities. And you know, I think that the email from your lawyer kind of it was a little bit intimidating to receive that, because you know, it kind of felt to us like it was a, you know, do not contact type of thing, especially because I am assisting him so closely with the case. And before today, like, there was no clear indication of who to send information to in the family. So I'm glad that was done. And, you know, I just want to make sure that, you know, while I was invited to attend this live, that people realize that nobody is upset with anybody. And that kind of seems to be what the general consensus is right now. And that's not what any of us want. I mean, it sounds
and collectively, I think that we can all agree that we're here to find justice for Mica overall.
Yeah.
And what is being said as far as detective or law enforcement, anything else, I can flat out tell you guys right now that every conversation that I have with any of these witnesses are recorded.
Mm-hmm.
So from start to finish, they're not being told, I'm a detective, I'm an officer, nothing else.
Well, and that's definitely, I mean, how it should go. But I think today, like I said, the miscommunication or these people are mad at these people, like, none of that is what the goal is here. The goal is to keep the focus on Mica, keep her story going.
Absolutely.
Then not only share what she went through, but also, again, her life. Her life was, I mean, she just wanted to share God's love and continue her missions and reach as many people as she could. And even after death, I think that it's amazing that she's reached all over the world. I mean, everyone shared, like I said, again, what's been going on in Pakistan and different places around the world. And so I think that keeping the focus on Mica versus any of ourselves is definitely the main focus.
Absolutely.
I don't think that it is appropriate to put on Facebook, don't tell the cops, tell us. I did see that post, Kyler, that said we work faster than the cops and relay information to us. I think that was one thing today that really, I mean, kind of sparked a lot of debate, because I think you guys keep saying you are relaying everything to the police and you are doing it the right way. But then when you post something like that, that really does, you know, raise red flags for our family and for everyone else.
For sure. And that's not something that I posted today. That was posted, I think, over a week ago, before I even knew that the FBI was involved in investigating her death. And, you know, I definitely should have worded that post better.
It's pinned and
my fear is that, I'm sorry?
It's pinned and it's getting shared a lot. That's why I saw it today.
Okay, it shouldn't be pinned now, but I what I was kind of getting at, I should have been more specific, was, you know, there is a lot of question of corruption in the area where she was found. And so that was kind of the place that I was coming from at the time, of my concerns. And, you know, that's definitely not something that will happen again. And you know, today, I made sure to say, like, you know, the FBI should be getting the tips, and so should the proper authorities. And, you know, ultimately, like, that was just a mistake that I made, you know, however long ago. And moving forward, I can, you know, definitely own up to that and rectify that, because nobody is perfect. And I think there's just a lot of high emotions right now. I was just going to say, my intentions from the beginning have been very, very pure, and they still are. And, I think it's really easy to, like, it's really easy to try to do the right thing and then end up not doing the right thing, and then, there's a lot, and I think it just comes from the fact that, we have been put in a unique position with, with the email that was sent from your lawyer, and um
Well, if I may interject on this, and
yeah,
I mean
sure.
this obviously very, very respectfully, I feel like a lot of this conversation maybe should be not in front of 5,200 people.
Well, I think they've already been
As far
involved.
as like clearing the air, I know that.
Well,
It's all over Facebook.
Well, I mean, yeah, I know that I wasn't quite aware of everything that was going on behind the scenes, but I know that I want y'all to make sure that you have the
My part,
opportunity.
I haven't reported, I haven't put anything on Facebook. Period.
Which the email isn't bad. The email literally just says, "Hey, if the PI is gonna communicate, it should be through a lawyer." Because it was being shared on Facebook that we had hired him, which was inaccurate. So the lawyer was like, "Hey, so let's clear it up and let's just only communicate with the PI through
Sure.
the lawyer." That was the extent of that. And like I said, Kyler already spoke to me about that and it was cleared up. So I don't know why it's being brought up today so much.
well, and
Well,
again, I think that we've kind of talked about the situation enough.
Yeah.
I
yeah,
think that,
I agree.
especially on how Facebook was, I can't see the comment section because of how our device is set up so that we can try to see everybody, and also I don't have to hold the phone the whole time.
Mhm.
But
So yeah,
I just don't want the way that Facebook went today. I think that the focus was, people felt like they needed to pick sides, and
Yeah.
I don't want that to be the focus at all. Again, I don't know what's going on in the comment section, but I want everyone, if they are trying to feel like they have to pick sides, let's not. I mean, we have
Right.
one side, and that's the side of Mica.
Mhm.
And so I think that if there needs to be a private discussion, we can certainly do that. But I think right now at this time that we definitely just want to keep the focus on Mica. I don't want there to be any division anywhere. And if that needs to be fixed privately, we can definitely do that. But again, Mica was an extreme bright light. And so I think that keeping the focus on her, and other people that, I mean, like I said, Micah's story calls to awareness to domestic violence, calls to things that are happening under everybody's noses that no one would think, like domestic violence in a church by a pastor, per se, allegedly. And I think that also it brings awareness to mental health. And it also gives her a great platform to, again, just focus on her missions and focus for what she wanted to do. She, again, was a bright light and just wanted to share love. And so I think that keeping the focus on that, and I think that unified, we're all on Micah's side here. And
agreed.
so I mean, I implore everyone on Facebook and everyone on TikTok, and Instagram and wherever her story is being shared, let's please keep the focus on her.
Mhm.
We want to, in the future, hopefully help other people that are like her, because there are so many. Mica was not just a single voice lost. There are so many other people out there that are just like her. And even, like you said, Justin, you've heard from people that are saying, hey, Mica's story helped me get the courage to get out.
Mhm.
And Kyler, I know you said that you've heard stories like that. I've had people message me and say that. And so I really, like I said, just want to keep the focus on Mica and keep that going, because that's ultimately what this is all about.
Mhm.
I feel like her story, kind of dovetailing off of what you just said, I feel like, you know, I feel like there's like four different things that this brings to light. One is mental health awareness, obviously.
Absolutely.
As of right now, the official police answer is that she took her own life. So it brings awareness to suicide awareness. It brings attention to domestic violence. It brings attention to a term that I use is toxic Christianity, or toxic religion, abuse in the church, things like that. So there's a lot of different things that her life is bringing attention to, or her death at this point is bringing attention to. And, if it saves one life, then that takes away, her death ever being in vain. And I feel like with the people who have now had the courage to leave their abuser, leave bad situations because of her, obviously we don't know what could have been, but it's very likely she could have saved their lives.
And I truly hope that's the case. And anyone that is watching or hearing or watches later, please let us know those things. We definitely we're fighting for Mica, but we also want to hear that she helped you fight. We definitely, all of it means something. Everything has significance.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
And I would imagine, I don't want to speak for you all, obviously, but I would imagine that might, give you guys a little bit of solace while you're fighting through all this, to hear some people's, stories that are like that she inspired them. I think that if you are one of those people, you can go to the Justice for Mica website, and, I think there's a way to contact you from that, right? And
I
shoot,
believe there
I'm
was.
I'll go look real quick.
I mean, even if not, all of us are very
Yeah,
open for people to reach out to us.
Yeah, you got a contact on here.
Yeah, I've
Perfect.
literally
And
spoke
then,
to a lady today that has said it's brought back for her, a lady named Christy and someone else, and she had just called me. Kyler wanted her to speak to me, and I mean, she brought a lot of encouragement to what all's going on.
and if you can write those stories down and send them to us, like I said, I mean, that's great. Justin, thank you for putting the website up and the GoFundMe. I mean, that's
Of
definitely
course.
what's going to help continue to fight for Mica, and then, like I said, fight for others too. There are
Mm-hmm.
so many people like her. And I know one thing you mentioned, you said you called it toxic Christianity, which is something that's so sad because God's love truly is amazing. And that's all Mica wanted to share,
Mm-hmm.
and to bring it to every aspect of the world. I mean, at her memorial, the gentleman that spoke on her behalf, he even said one time that she was working at the coffee shop and ran out and was like praying for someone's husband and was like, "Are you a Christian?" And she was like, "I'm Catholic." She was like, "That's good enough. Let's do this." And let's definitely pray. I mean, where two or more come together, God's in the midst of them, and that's definitely what Mica believed.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I want her again to be an inspiration to everyone, but also we've got to keep fighting. So, I mean, again, like I said, we do appreciate putting the website up and keeping things going, because sharing her story also brings attention to that and then helps us continue the fight. But those little stories of encouragement also definitely help us with the fight as well, because if she inspired you, I mean, she inspires us every day. That's why we're all here, because she inspired us, and we want to be able to continue her story.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. And one of the things that I was going to bring up is I spoke to a fellow coworker who told me that Mike always came in very happy every day. And at one point, she took a Polaroid picture of herself and went back there to the calendar, even though they didn't have an employee of the month. And she took a picture of herself off a Polaroid and put up that she wrote on it, employee of the month, to make everybody laugh and smile. And
Funny.
that just brought a lot to me of, this person that spoke to her and was encouragement toward her. She said that was mainly the focus of a lot of it, is she just liked bringing happiness to people.
It really was. Something that I mentioned too, she was funny. I mean, she did a really mean Jim Carrey impression.
She loved her little Polaroids, so she would print them out and give them to like everybody, because she had a little like instant print where you could take pictures on your phone and print them out.
That's true.
So like all of us have little Polaroids all over the place from her, because that was
And
like
that's
one
what
of
she
her
did.
little fun
And
things.
hearing from that female, it showed me like her personality of always trying to make people happy. And even in bad situations, whether you work in a restaurant or anywhere else, it truly brought light to me of where she was at. And, she was on to bigger and better things. And, this is a very tragic, circumstance. And, obviously I would love to get with you guys later on, and I have a lot that I would like to share with you guys.
Well, and even that story just goes to show her character. I mean, look
Absolutely.
at what we're all hearing about her life and what she was going through in those moments, and she still just wanted to bring joy to everyone else.
and she's got a lot of people that are backing her, and that want to hear her story, who are invested in her story. And again, I really feel like it's, she's touching a lot of lives at this point, and it's unfortunate that it's taking an event like this to make that happen. Um, but I do feel in my heart that she is saving lives.
Well, and like you said, it makes her story not in vain.
It makes her story not in vain. And I want to go back to what you said about, toxic Christianity. And another term is weaponized Christianity, where, you use God and somebody's faith in order to weaponize it against them. Personally speaking, I feel like a lot of Christianity has become very toxic. And so I say, when people ask what I am, I'm like, oh, I'm a follower of Jesus, because it's hard to say Christianity now with some of the stuff that you keep seeing in there. And I feel like that's what people need to get back to. And it seems like everything I've seen, read, and even hear from you tonight about Micah is that she truly was somebody who followed the values of Christ, and not just, a blanket Christianity term.
Mm-hmm. And that's one thing she struggled with very hard with, going through this divorce and trying to speak to lawyers and trying to talk to the family about stuff that she was suffering through in silence. Was certain people, and those people, after she passed away, got on Facebook and, gotten arguments and stuff for being basically two-faced. She was being told by a lot of people, put up with it, stay there, be a good wife, or don't tell that, because that's not the Christian thing to do. You shouldn't talk about something sinful or expose people. The Bible's all about grace and covering, and that's not true. I mean, if you're going through something and you're suffering, like, you need to speak out about it. You should not feel like you're trapped in a situation just because you believe in Jesus, just because you are, a Christian or whatever. That's one thing that was really put on her, and I don't want anybody else to suffer in silence because they're being told the same thing.
Well, true Christianity is about community, which means you don't have to suffer. I mean, that's the part of it, is that you don't have to suffer in silence, because it's supposed to be about community and being there for one each other. Love thy neighbor.
Well, I think that's one thing that Micah was actually starting to learn in the end, because I know that she mentioned it to me. I thought she mentioned it in a video. I'm not quite sure, but she was just learning that Christianity is not just the building; it's also the people. And so that's why she was so people based, and wanted, like I said, just to spread God's word across the world, through missions or through. I mean, her trip to Kenya truly changed her and sparked and ignited this fire within her, to just want to serve people through the love of God. And so I think that that's something that people need to remember too, is it's not just a building, it's the people. And so when you find someone that's genuine like that, please don't allow the wolf in sheep clothing to deter you, from the love that God has to offer, because Micah's story is proof that she just really believed in God and spreading the love of him. And that's something that we, like I said, hope to continue and want to do for her, whether it be through missions for Kenya or missions for other places. I mean, that's definitely something that we plan to continue for her.
And that goes back to earlier what you were saying about people being afraid to speak out and afraid of backlash just from being in Myrtle and being so close to the situation. One thing Micah said a lot, and she tried to make sure people understood, is the church is the people, not just the pastor. And she said it time and time again, that people shouldn't be afraid to leave a certain situation. People shouldn't be afraid to speak out when they see something wrong happening. I mean, we know of people who were berated in front of the congregation for speaking out, or kicked out for, bringing something that shouldn't have been, hidden to the light. And yes, that's horrible for those people, and I hate that they had to go through that, but it gets them, out of that situation justly, so that it's not just, oh, well, they just left for no reason. No, they brought it to the attention, and they did make sure that it was, not necessarily public knowledge, but they made sure that it was addressed. And if you're going to get kicked out for something like that, then good for you for getting out of that situation and standing up for it, instead
Absolutely.
of just hiding and being afraid.
Yeah, I really agree with that. And that's one of the reasons that I am so passionate about this case too, is because, like, all of the, Justin mentioned there's a lot of parts to this case that, bring a lot of awareness. And that's something that I am really big on too. Like, and I think it really speaks to Mica's character that even with the religious abuse that she went through, like her faith in God never wavered. And that, I mean, honestly, that's not something that I can even say I have always been able to do, because I have dealt with my fair share of religious abuse myself, and I walked away from God for years because of it. And I didn't have that capability of separating the two. And I mean, Mica was always like that. I mean, I think one of my first conversations with her in middle school was about Jesus, because I was still in church at the time, and this was before all my religious abuse started. But she was always that bright light, even when she was going through all of this stuff. And I think that her story is so important in so many ways, and that has always been my intention. Even if I haven't always gone about it the right way, I try to learn from it and grow from it. And I just I've always admired her, and even more so now that she was able to still maintain that faith.
And that's one thing, she did not want her situation to negatively affect people's,
Right.
outlook on Christianity or on even on Solid Rock. She wanted to make sure that the church did not get dragged down just because of one situation and one person involved. She wanted to make sure that it would still function, even if certain people were removed. Like, she was treading so lightly to make sure she did not, tarnish people's outlook on Christianity.
Well, we appreciate that story as well, because, I mean, Mica, we grew up in church, and so of course we all have our own moments, and everyone, like I said, falls short of the glory of God. But I mean, through everything, Mica tried really hard just to keep her focus on God and doing right, doing biblically right, but also just morally right. It wasn't even just about God. She wanted to be a good person. And so sharing that the first conversation was probably about God in middle school definitely sounds like Mica, and I appreciate hearing that, because her character was something that she really tried to hold on close to.
I mean, I think that's
And I'll say this to you guys as well is, like I told Kyler, you never know what gets put on your heart. And me and my profession and what I do, this isn't a case that I ever would have thought that would have been put on my heart by God so heavily. And there's nothing behind it in the end, because I grew up in a very big Christian family. And everything else that speaks of that and why God put me in the midst of this, I don't know right now. I can't answer that question. All I can tell is I'm being guided in these directions for these reasons, and I can't explain to you why. And I pray every day that God will show the light on this, because I've dealt with domestic violence situations throughout my career, and Mica has a lot to, you know, it can be lived through from her through you guys and what you all have faced in the future forward of letting domestic awareness be well known.
Yeah, and I mean, we appreciate it. I mean, like I said, we can't obviously officially take on any help or do anything like that.
Absolutely.
We're very clear, but I mean, we definitely, like you said, Micah's story can bring awareness to all of that, and that's the goal. Like I said, I think it's the goal for all of us, is just to keep the focus on Mica and to keep her story going, and to really ultimately in the end figure out what really happened. Because with, like I said, all the gray that has to be sifted through, it's a little difficult, but I don't want to lose focus either on what her life was, as far as she tried to be a light to everyone. Like you said, even just the coworkers said she put a Polaroid of herself up Android Employee of the Month just to bring laughter to other people in the midst of all of her pain. And so
Right.
that's something that we definitely just want to keep focusing on, whether there's all the bad or the good too. Mica was an amazing person, and that's the story that I want to be told. Even with all of her pain and suffering that she went through, again, allegedly, as of right now. But we just want to keep the focus on that and keep
And she
her
tried to bring happiness even in the bad, you
right.
know.
And again, like I said, she had plans for the future to go on missions and to keep missions going. And so that's definitely something that we want to keep alive for her as well in the future.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I really feel like
Is alleged because people have seen my TikTok. There's proof of abuse. Everyone says allegedly because obviously people are saying they're going to start defamation cases, etc. But
Which has
not
been
everything.
personally said, yeah.
Yeah, not everything is alleged. Everyone has seen there are documented abuse. There are documented police reports. So,
Absolutely.
and for what it's worth, that blanket C&D that was posted out, that's not legal or enforceable. Like you can't just put this blanket global universal cease and desist out there and expect that. You'd have to go to each individual person, and then you'd have to, if you wanted to file a defamation suit against them, you have to do it in their respective counties, which would be all over the country, all over the world at this point. So it really is just a scare tactic.
Absolutely. Thank you for bringing that up, Justin. I appreciate that because that is definitely the case. And, that's what a lot of people are looking at and scared of. And the other side of it is all of these defamation cases, as you saw with the incident with Robbie earlier. When you guys had that live trying to talk to JP and he wanted Robbie off. So that's just kind of things that come about in the perspective manners that we do these type of investigations and things come out of that. But
that's not a new tactic either for John Paul. He sent out many no trespass letters and cease and desist style things, and none of them have been legally binding. They're just a tactic that has been a control factor for a lot of people in the church.
well, and they have to be properly served as well.
Yeah, it's. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Destiny.
Well, I was gonna say, and that's just another reason why, we are thankful to anyone that has made the donation for the GoFundMe, because we are dealing with a lot of different aspects of true letters of cease and desist, or different, like I said, Sierra said, for defamation cases. We've been told that there will be some brought against us, and so that's also why we're being careful. But again, that's also why we have the GoFundMe. So I just wanted to personally say thank you for everyone that's been donating and that has donated, because it definitely is helping in the fight for Mica and fight for justice, and also keeping her story going. Yeah, and going past that, because like we said, we want to also help the other victims that are out there that are either from the same situation or other people that didn't have a voice. And so, again, I just wanted to really truly say thank you from me and from our family for everyone that has been spreading the GoFundMe and everyone that has been participating in that, because there's a huge fight going on, and it's not just the one that you see right now. And so, again, just thank you for everyone that's helped out with that.
And I want to add too, for if you came in late, again, I put the link to the GoFundMe. If you go to my website, justontiktok.com, you go to my link section, it's the top link. And look, there's over 4,000 people in here. If everybody donated just $1, just $1, that would go a long way. Just
and
for
people
you.
who can't even donate, just sharing it and also praying for us, praying for everyone who's involved, for peace of mind and guidance and in protection at this point, honestly. Just making sure that everybody is having the same goal of getting justice for Mica and pursuing after the fact, setting something up for other people going through similar situations, and on top of that, funding missions to continue her legacy, because this has to go further than just fighting in court. We want to make sure that we do address legislation and we do address other people who will be in a similar situation, and that they don't end the same way.
Which is a great way to say it too, as far as, even if you can't donate and you wanted to, sharing it is just as amazing. So thank you for saying that, actually.
Yeah, definitely.
And I would love to get with you guys later on off the record at some point and direct you to a couple senators that I do know that have pushed these things heavily throughout the state of South Carolina and
That would be great.
give you guidance in reference to domestic violence laws and everything else as it is out there. And like I said, I was discouraged for a little bit, but I'm glad that we've been able to clear the air. And I want you guys to know behind the scenes, I've made it very clear in anything that I've made, I've not been retained, I'm not being paid, I don't want to be paid, anything else of that matter, because if I am, then I would love to get, if anyone reaches out to me to give me anything, that money will go to your family because I don't want it.
Well, and we appreciate that too. And definitely, I mean, like Sierra said, I mean, our our lawyer definitely has things in place as well. So Regina's been great way of communication as well as the Gmail for the tips. I know Justin, I think you said you had a contact as well for another family that's gone through similar.
Joe, yeah, the Gabby Petito's family, Joe Petito. You will love him. He's wonderful.
That's one of the ones I was going to say. Thank you.
Yeah, there's a few people saying that the link isn't working for the GoFundMe, but
I'm testing it. It's working fine.
It's weird. It's in my bio as well. I don't know if you guys want to try that too, but.
Well, we also do have a second website set up. Like I said, Dr. Dobson also helped maneuver that. Let me grab that website for you as well. It is micamillerofficial.com.
Yeah, and also for our business, you also have justiceformica.com. You can also donate there. So there's a lot of ways that you can do it. But here's the thing: help whatever way you can. Like they said, if you can't donate, if you can't share it, if you can't or struggle doing that, or have nobody to share it to, say a prayer.
Yeah, say a prayer, share it. I know Sierra had also posted if the GoFundMe is not working, you're more than welcome to look on Sierra's Facebook. There was also her Venmo as well.
Well, I would prefer everything goes through.
We prefer the GoFundMe, but
that way
I think there were other avenues too if there's nothing working. Yeah. And you're more than welcome to reach out to us as well via email or whatever method, because I know we're on social medias as well.
They want to know if you could repeat the Venmo name again. Sorry.
I'm sorry?
I said, they want to know if you could repeat the Venmo name again.
Sorry, we're moving things around here for a moment.
Yeah, I don't want to.
No, you're good. You're good.
While we're talking.
What was your?
Oh, they don't want Venmo. They said, okay, sorry. I was trying to.
Yeah, I was
the link on my page. So
it was initially we didn't have a GoFundMe because I'll be honest, I did not realize how many people would be wanting to help the family. But it was created by our sister's boyfriend. And people, did want to help us in fighting legally and, supporting the family to all get together for the memorial and stuff like that. So that's when it was created.
Were those other ones that were fake or like not connected to you? Did they get taken down?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I don't think that our family has been, trying to troll the internet and keep up with everything because there has been a lot of
you have bigger fish to fry.
Fake information and fake GoFundMes and fake, hottest tips and all this and that.
Yeah, you guys have bigger fish to fry than to, worry about all the things on here. That's for us to do. And you guys, out of curiosity, did you have any concept that this would blow up the way that it did?
I don't think that.
I think Mica did. I think Mica was afraid of this because she always said she did not want to, tarnish the way people saw Christianity and, church in general, or, she didn't want her church family to suffer through any of this. So I think she knew that it was going to be a lot bigger than we anticipated. Just her story and the stuff that she suffered through.
Yeah, it's crazy how some of this blew up. For what it's worth, and I'm sure you obviously I say I'm sure, but I hope that you recognize it. There's nobody that I've seen that's blaming her or blaming Christianity or anybody that's really been associated with her, the blame really is being pushed on, JP. And I think that one of the other sayings that have been, and I think Robbie kind of said something similar to it, but I'll say it in a different way, which is, even if the official answer turns out after everything's said and done that she took her own life, and I'm not saying that that's the case, but even if that is, then you focus, okay, well, stop focusing on who pulled the trigger, but why the trigger was pulled. Like what was pushed there was, why did she feel that was her only way out, if that's the case? So I feel like I get where she's at and her concerns and that, but I don't think it's going the way that she thought that it might go. I think it's going very differently in her favor, and if anything, I think that it's showing. Even going through trial and tribulation and turmoil, she still held true to her faith, and I think that's a beautiful thing, because not a lot of people can go through what she's gone through and come out the other side that way.
Mm-hmm.
No, definitely not.
Which I even posted about that on Facebook a while back, before she passed away. Whenever I was at church and I, received information of some just drama that was happening. And I just couldn't believe how she was handling herself very, respectfully and, not just freaking out and, telling everybody all of her business, because it's like she was suffering in silence without suffering in silence. And she was trying to get out and tell enough so that people knew that something was happening, but still being very careful so that she didn't, end up with a defamation lawsuit or a cease and desist, or like you said, people are afraid to come forward with evidence, and people weren't backing her up the way that they told her they would if she, tried to leave. So, I mean, I commend her for how she handled herself.
And my understanding too is that she, obviously, we don't need to know what you guys have. That's nobody's business but yours and your attorneys. But it seems like she did she obviously anticipated something happening. I say obviously, maybe not, but she left, from what I understand, a very, very good paper trail.
She was very big on paper trails, definitely. And that's one thing, I know my dad has said it a few times, but me and my dad are both prior service. And one thing we both kept telling her was everything has to be a paper trail. Like that's how you document things, is you document it. You can't say, oh, this happened, and then when they say, oh, we'll provide proof, oh, well, let me hurry up and run and make a 5-year document. Like, no, that's something that takes time, and it shows a lot of
100%.
It takes a lot more, it holds more weight when it is documented, when it is written down, when it is, hey, look, I didn't just make this up, this was at this time on this date with this person, kind of thing.
Yeah, you would have to, if you were making something like that up, you would really have to have a lot of foresight, and I would almost say be a sociopath to be able to, fake something like that for years and years and years. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I agree with you. I don't think that anybody's going to look at that and really call it into question. I mean, we've seen pieces of things that have come out, heard pieces of things, from you guys that have come out, and I think it's one of those situations where it's just the tip of the iceberg as to what y'all have, which means that there's probably a lot more there. So I think that's good that she, to me, that's not somebody with mental illness for what that's worth.
Well, we appreciate that.
I also, and I don't know if y'all see my videos on this too. One thing that I've also made very clear to point out, or made sure that I point out every time I can, is that they got married in 2017 and she didn't have mental illness until 2017. I find that very coincidental.
Yeah, our whole family has, definitely taken note of that since all the way back then.
Yeah.
Which, whenever you guys were asking us, why is there animosity or there's an obvious division there? I mean, that kind of is a prime example of why.
Obvious. Yeah, it's kind of, was it out of curiosity? And again, only answer if you're comfortable. You don't have to. Don't feel obligated. When y'all first met him, did you guys, was he likable? Did you feel something was off? Again, if you don't want to answer that, that's okay.
I mean, I was younger whenever we started going to the church as a family, and obviously if we were going there, there wasn't an immediate sounding bell, or our parents wouldn't have stayed, That's just my opinion.
No, that's fair.
My opinion is I always try to give everyone the benefit of the doubt, but I know my husband and my brother-in-law definitely felt like something was off. They couldn't put their finger on it because obviously we were, older than my siblings when they first met them. But when we were first introduced, there was something that was just off, which again, you try to give everyone the benefit of the doubt, and you don't want to judge someone right off, but you have a gut feeling. It's not always wrong, apparently.
No, it's not. But I tend to agree with you. You want to give people a chance until they give you a reason not to.
Right.
And sometimes that's a good thing, and sometimes it'll bite you.
Yeah. And unfortunately, we got bit pretty bad.
Yeah, you got bit very bad. But I feel that you guys, again, a lot of it was out of your control, no matter what. I without y'all saying it, I know that you guys are beating yourselves up over all of this. I know your parents are beating themselves up over it, and there's nothing that I can say or do, or anybody's going to be able to say or do to stop that. You're gonna do that. You're gonna be your biggest critic on this, but ultimately, it comes down to JP. It comes down to John Paul. And the power he had over her, to keep her coming back. And no matter what you said or did, there wasn't going to be anything that was going to change that, unfortunately. So again, I know that's me saying that's not going to make any difference to you guys. You're still going to beat yourselves up over it, but at least keep that in the back of your mind.
And at this point, she was pursuing, her own independence. Obviously, you guys see the, Freedom of Information Act. You see what she was filing. You see what she was pursuing. And she had gotten to the point where she was trying to stand on her own and, be her own healthy person. So, there's not really much we can say besides she was trying, and none of this adds up to us.
Not only was she trying, she was succeeding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She really was, and I'm so glad that people get to see that last bit of her, and I'm actually super thankful for those videos that she made prior to her passing, because you do get to see a little bit of kind of what she was going through. And on one of those videos that I saw, she was just talking about, I hope you have an amazing day. Let's make this day, absolutely great. And so, again, I think it just shows her personality, even though she was in the middle of, for lack of a better term, a fight for her life. She was still trying to be positive and bring positivity to everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's wonderful. And I agree. The videos that she made, are even the one that she made, talking about domestic violence, it was a phenomenal video, and I think that everybody needs to see that video. It was phenomenal. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you could tell she was trying to help people, and I think that part of that too was a little bit healing for her, coming to terms with what she had experienced. But yeah, you could tell she was in it to help others. That's where her heart was at, I think. That's how I took from it.
Yeah. And that was always her heart. No matter what she was going through, she just still wanted to be with the people and help the people.
Let me ask you this. So obviously we know the GoFundMe's there, prayer sharing it. What do y'all need? What would make things a little bit easier, or give you guys something to look forward to, that people can do?
I think really just, I think just continuing to pour in your information to the tip line or reach out to the attorney, continuing to either share the GoFundMe, or if you can help donate, that's great, because again, we do have a huge fight against us, and a fight that we're already going through. And really just send, if you have a great interaction with our sister, or if you had a great interaction. It's hard to sometimes remember that it's past tense. But if you had a great experience with our sister, please send that to us. And then,
or post it and tag us, whatever. You don't have to directly send it. If you post it and tag us, that would be, might be easier for some people.
And it still helps her story to continue to go. And definitely, please, if you do have faith, please send a prayer for us, because we have a big battle.
And you have a long road ahead of you.
One thing that I would like to do, and I've been saying this ever since the beginning, whenever we found out about her passing away, our whole family got together and started talking about, um, ways to carry on her legacy in a way that would honor her. I do want to do a clothing drive where everybody, wherever you live, and whatever means that you have, instead of taking your leftover extra clothing that you don't wear, just hoarding it, I want to do a clothing drive to women's shelters, and I'm planning on doing that on June 5th. So I'm going to try to make a digital flyer for that, and donate myself, donate my sister some of her stuff, donate my other siblings also joining in, and I want it to be a global thing where we are showing support for domestic violence survivors and giving them some support in Mica's honor. So I want to do that on June 5th.
You'll want to make something probably from your page like tomorrow for that, and I'll be happy to like repost it and share it also, because that's kind of don't you guys have court on the 5th as well?
We do.
Be a very busy day for you. The other thing, because I know you all have children, so I'm going to throw this out there because we've done this before. Obviously, you're probably trying to shelter your kids from everything that's going on, but you can only do so much, especially when it's this public. If you wanted to have them create an Amazon wish list, obviously it doesn't show your address. We can easily post and share that, and we've done that on several cases, and people like to do things to help make things a little bit easier for the kids. So I'm going to throw that out at you guys too if you have any interest in that. And just share the list with me once you create it.
I don't know that at this time that's something we'd want to do. Okay. Like, obviously, we would love for people to support our children through this, but we also don't want people to, think that we're money hungry or that we're trying to, capitalize off of this.
Nobody thinks that. It's I understand that we're whatever your decision, but I don't think anybody's going to think that, just so you know. But yeah, your decision is whatever you want.
I appreciate that.
We definitely do appreciate the idea, and then as well as, like I said, we also plan to try to help fund missions for her, whether that be Kenya or other places. So that's definitely something that we're going to try to do to continue her legacy as well.
Okay, and yeah, let me know how we can help support that, and
absolutely.
I know one step at a time, but
yeah, there's a lot on all of our plates right now, and obviously you guys can see that because this is a very public discussion, public case. Everybody's requesting Freedom of Information Acts every single day. They're trying to pull everything, which we understand. Everybody wants to be involved, and as long as everything's, funneling through the proper channels, then we are very grateful for that.
Do y'all have all of the documents as far as like, every court document? I'm sure that y'all do, but if not, if you want me to send you what I was sent, I'm happy to do that as well.
I mean, definitely anything everybody has, getting, funneled through the lawyer is the best option. That way she can, pull from what she needs to, instead of all of us trying to send her whatever we grab off of it or whatever.
I can send, if you want to shoot me over as I think if you still have my number, if you want to shoot me over the attorney's email address, I'll just send them a link.
Send her a link. It can just go to the Justice for Mica tips.
Okay. Okay, I can do that. Easy.
And also, I don't want to undermine what you saying that at all for the lawyer, but also sometimes if you're not comfortable sending it to someone that feels official, if you are worried for whatever reason, please don't let that deter you from sending it to us directly, because we do understand that whether you want to remain anonymous or you don't feel comfortable, again, like I said, with someone being more official, please don't let that deter you from sending it to us, because every little bit of information that you think you may have can be helpful. So please don't, if you're scared to send it to the attorney or the Gmail, just please send it to one of us directly.
Well, the other thing on that I keep, thinking and not really being sure how to word it properly is family and the lawyer were the ones communicating with her through all this abuse, through her last days, through the stuff she was going through day to day, through, literally just little conversations of starting a playlist, and something that might be completely insignificant to a stranger or somebody who is looking at it from an outside view might be really important or relevant to the family or the lawyer from a conversation we had with her. So even if it's, hey, I just saw Mica on the Thursday leading up to her passing away, and she told me that she was so excited about blah, blah, blah. That could be important details that only the lawyer might know or only we might know.
Okay. That's good to know.
Which, and Justin, I do want to thank you again, like I said, for putting the website up, and then also for the Amazon idea, because that's actually a super. I think that's something super great that probably neither of us would have thought about, because we're kind of in the midst of all these things, and just making sure that we provide our needs for our kids, but we don't think that other people want to help as well, or maybe even help kids in other places too. So we definitely do appreciate that. So thank you for mentioning that.
No, of course, and like I said, it's up to you if you guys decide you want to do it. Like I said, we've done that. We've done it before for a few families. You know, I won't go through the cases, but it can make a difference as far as helping the kids kind of get through some of this stuff. But some of the people like doing it. They find it, for lack of a better term, I don't say fun, but supportive. They feel like they're doing something to help little ones get through something. And I know that not all your kids are like little, but yeah. So just consider it. If you want to do it, great. If not, again, it's your decision, your boundaries, and we'll respect whatever that is.
Yeah. Like my son just had his birthday, and it was a very rough day. Having to put on a happy face and celebrate somebody that deserves to be celebrated, and they shouldn't have to go through this. And it was just super awful for the whole family, having to hold back tears and celebrate, noticing such a gaping hole in our family circle. But
That'd be really tough.
I can't even imagine
to deal with.
My son has a birthday coming up too, and
Yeah,
it's
and her
like
son's birthday's in a couple days.
it's really hard because we just actually almost did it earlier today. We had a sisters group chat, and so typing in sis, and then it pulls up everybody in the chat, and Mike is in there like
It's really
like
difficult.
right now. I just say it comes in 5-minute waves randomly because everything reminds you of her, and so thinking of the kids, I appreciate that, because sometimes we don't get to. It's not something that's on the forefront of our brain, especially when we're going through all of this.
Yeah, it's tough for everybody. You guys are the faces of this, which is hard for you. It's hard for them. Plus, you're dealing with trying to mourn and grieve yourself, and I'm sure you've not had the chance. I'm positive you haven't. I think you even said it earlier. I forget which one of y'all. You haven't had an opportunity to even sit and really grieve and digest what's going on. And it makes it that much more difficult when you have something as public as this is. So, you guys really need to talk. Y'all really need to talk to Joe Petito. You're gonna love him, and he's unfortunately been where you are, and from the public standpoint, and from trying to have to put his grieving to the side and wait for everything. I think he might offer you a little bit of guidance, and he'll keep anything discreet. He never posts. In fact, we have to get on him about posting because he's so bad about it. But I'll get you guys his information.
That'd be awesome.
Well, I know you guys look tired, and I know I am as well. So I appreciate it.
We were not intending on getting on a live, but we were like, well, while we have the opportunity, like my baby's asleep, I was like, we need to, talk while we can.
Yeah, I did not. When I got on tonight, I did not know that was happening.
And thank you for doing that also
Definitely.
too. Especially like you said, from a journalist standpoint, it is important to give that opportunity. So thank you for giving us the opportunity as well.
No, of course, I'm very happy to give y'all an opportunity. And his was interesting because he's not said a word at all. And so it was kind of almost, of course, neither have y'all really that much. You've had a couple interviews that we've seen, but it was very nerve wracking, to be quite honest with you, because it was not expected, not even on the radar. And then y'all popped up, and I'm like, oh no, I'm in trouble.
I kind of felt like I was in a parallel universe. Like, is this really happening? Like,
you texted me that.
I did text you that.
Real?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then then I saw you guys, and I was like, oh no, I'm in trouble now.
No. I mean, it was surreal. It was uncomfortable to watch. But like you said, you want to give people the opportunity to talk. And in my opinion, what we saw was, I mean, you see, hey, should I turn off the comments? No, I love it. I love seeing them. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean, it is what it is.
I understand. Believe me. Yeah, he wanted the comments, and he wanted to talk. And for anybody saying that they want to see it, it's uploaded on YouTube for anybody who wants to see it. But But I appreciate you guys coming on and talking, because I know it's not difficult. I know that it's probably a conversation every single day where you are constantly having similar conversations, and I know that that's emotionally draining. So I appreciate your time as well, and coming on and talking.
Well,
thank you
definitely.
very
And
much.
thank you everyone for all the support. Like I said, whether it's sharing the GoFundMe, posting the website, just even those little things. I mean, we sincerely appreciate them. The idea for the Amazon for the kids, if that's how people want to help too. I mean, it's just, we appreciate everything that everyone is doing. And so, again, thank you.
You guys have a long road ahead of you in whatever way people can support you. I know people want to do it. And here's the thing about whether it's the GoFundMe, whether it's an Amazon wish list, people who want to support are going to do it. People who don't won't. It's so it just gives them another option to help. But people are asking about a meal train for you as well. So I don't think they probably want to give their address, but that's another thing. If you want to, people have done, we've done that too, where people donated a bunch of DoorDash cards or Grubhub or whatever's in your area, so that you guys can eat and not have to worry about fixing dinner or finding dinner that night.
We appreciate
Which people
that.
have done that for us during the memorial too, when we had so much family trying to, get together and figure out what the heck was going on. We did have a lot of support in Myrtle while we were there, and that was amazing. Like, we really appreciate everyone who stepped up for that, because we could not have gotten to the point that we did without the help from people there.
Definitely not. Our sister Anna, people reached out to her and they organized the food during that time frame, and people helped us. People offered Airbnbs that they have. The support has been great, and so we really do appreciate it. And if you can keep it coming, that's great, because again, we have family, people traveling in and out. Again, I'm here from Kansas. We have a long road.
You are far from home then.
I am.
Yeah, well, we needed it. We could not be alone. It's rough. It's like, if I'm not crying, she's crying. It's way harder than what we're trying to let people see, because we don't want to be online just bawling our eyes out every day. But sometimes, it's just hard, and it's every day is a different struggle for whatever thing pops up that day, or just simply, like the other day we were driving and I was like, yay, we're gonna see Anna and Ryan, and then I just started crying because I was like, Mica's not here, and it was just out of nowhere. And then Destiny luckily was here and was like, everything's okay, like, just cry it out, so having support to help take care of my kids or help take care of her kids and stuff, like, it's really making a big difference.
I love that you guys.
Well, in any way that I can help, I'll be happy to help in any way. I didn't mean to interrupt, Justin. As far as support, anything else for you guys, and I just wanted to make that well known to y'all as well.
Well, and thank you to people like Sierra said that helped in Myrtle Beach, or people that are helping now, or Justin, again, you helping. And I don't think my kids will see this because they don't have social media, but thanks to my kids too for
Smart.
And my husband
Absolutely.
in Kansas for taking on all the responsibilities there, because it's definitely, my family there's been great too, just because it is a lot for me to be gone, to be able to continue this fight for Mica. And so I appreciate them too, and everybody that's just helped out in so many ways.
Yeah, that's a good. Another thing too, if you need help or support, because I'm sure we have people that could do it. If you need to go back home and see your family for like a weekend or a few days, I'm sure that's something that can, a few trips back and forth, which could be expensive out of your own pocket, but I'm sure funds could be raised to make that happen as well. Just again, whatever y'all need, I can't promise we'll do people will do everything, but if y'all need anything, Sierra, I know what you're thinking. I promise it's not you trying to take advantage. Don't look at it that way, because I get it. I get where you're at, but it's people do truly want to help.
Yeah. I'm being as careful as I can be, because it is so easy for people to know, even people getting on here being like, oh, Justin's just getting likes and that's why he's doing this. And it's like, we might not be thinking that, but somebody makes a comment, or, we made a TikTok account, that I made the TikTok account so people could see, as people say, receipts, because I don't want to say things that are baseless, but people, always try to figure out some personal angle, and I just, like, we haven't even touched a GoFundMe, and I have bills that I have to pay for lawyers, and I'm scared to do it, because I'm like, I would rather put it on my credit card than somebody say something negative about what we're doing with the money that we're raising, so I'm trying to think of it in a better way and really, utilize the help that we're getting. It's honestly scary for me. Recently getting out of the military and becoming a stay-at-home mom and moving into a little house in the country, like I'm used to being careful with my funds. And I don't want anybody to, try to twist anything that we're doing, because we are trying to do everything the way that it should be done.
Well, there's always going to be somebody out there that's going to try to twist what you're doing, but and I know this is easier said than done. Like, yeah, I see the comments too. Oh, he just wants, like, I don't care what they think. I've been doing it long enough that I just don't care what they think. And there's always do what?
I'm never expected to be in this situation. I'm trying to handle it the proper way.
Exactly. You didn't expect to be in this situation. And it's also one of the things I would imagine that you're a lot like me in the sense that you don't really ask for help. You probably try not to accept help when you can. You try to do things on your own. And that's a very hard mindset to get out of. But I promise you it's okay if you use the GoFundMe where people donated for you to pay your lawyers. If you pay your lawyers with it, I promise you people won't get mad about that.
Well, and I think one thing too, definitely whichever way people want to help, we were also taught, or something that I've been told definitely is, we don't want to steal your blessing from you either.
Mm-hmm.
So
100%.
If you are trying to bless us in any way, whether that's trying to set up a meal plan or trying to send a gift to the kids, or you want to send something for the GoFundMe for lawyers, or whichever way you want to help, even if it's just sharing or it's saying a prayer for us. I mean, we definitely don't want to steal your blessing from you, but we appreciate all of it, truly, even just your time right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think it's in story. I think the story is important to get out there. And like I said, you all are always welcome to have the platform. And if you need to cry your eyes out, that's okay, but you don't have to do that either. And but her story is important. She's important, and the fight that you have ahead of you is important.
Mm-hmm. And that's the main thing. We want to keep Mica's story going and keep her legacy going, again, through the missions, which we will do at a future date. We want to be very careful with that right now. But yeah, we want to keep her story going. And like you said, she's touched people all across the world, and we want to continue that for her. It's unfortunate that it happened this way, but I think that Mica would be happy to know that she's reached multiple people, and that she had the support and has the support of so many people. And again, we appreciate everything.
Mm-hmm. And I'm reading the comments. A lot of people say, because I know you said you can't read them, but a lot of people, they definitely want to help whatever they can. So again, you've got, just let me know what y'all need and we'll make that happen. And if you don't, then I'll just make it happen and give it to you anyways.
We appreciate that too.
If you want to be prideful, that's fine. I'll take up a collection and then email you a DoorDash gift card. I'm cool with that. So
I'm with you there.
Or I'll find out who does direct from. I'm guessing y'all are in South Carolina, but from South Carolina to Kansas, I would imagine. And I'll find out who flies direct, and we'll send you a gift card of that. So we can do it your way, or we can do it my way. It's whatever you want to do.
Appreciate that.
We appreciate it, and definitely we'll work on that digital flyer for June 5th for the donations everywhere. If people would be interested in helping that way too.
I know people are.
It's a beautiful idea.
I will start a flyer for that. I meant to do it earlier today, but instead, we were trying to take care of some household things instead of, falling too far behind around here while we had the chance. But I will get a digital flyer for that. And again, that would be a clothing drive for different, women's shelters supporting domestic violence victims who are still fighting that struggle. So
I do think you need to get on it because you definitely need more to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like you said, that's going to be a busy day.
It's going to be a very busy day. I'm not great at creating stuff, but I have people that are. So if you do need help with some like digital creation of that, let me know that too, and I'll make my friend do it. He'll be fine.
All right. Thank you very much for that.
We appreciate that. We definitely appreciate everybody's support again.
Well, I will let y'all go to bed because I know it's 1 for me, which means it's 2 for you. So and you have kids, so you'll be up early also.
Yeah, but thank you very much for everybody who was on the live with us, and so we couldn't really respond to comments like you said, but I'm sure there's a lot of people with a lot of questions, so we'll try to read back on some of them. Yeah,
and we can always do this again when it's maybe you have some time to I guess, prepare a little bit more, because I know that this was unexpected.
Yeah.
Definitely.
You know, if you want to. So, but y'all have a great night. Thank you guys for coming on and chatting with us, and we'll definitely be in touch.
Yeah,
Alright.
thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Good night.
Bye. Good night.
I can help y'all with that. Okay. Okay, so everybody, I'm about to head off myself, and anyways, for those of y'all who want to see the and I'll get this one up on YouTube as well. It takes a few minutes for it to get downloaded and put up, but if you guys want to see the one where JP came out and spoke, it's already up on my YouTube. My YouTube name is the same on here. It's Justin on TikTok. You can also get to it by going link in my bio, right under the picture of my stupid face. To the far right is the YouTube link. But do please support them. If a lot of people were saying that the GoFundMe in my profile wasn't working, and if that's the case, try to just copy the link and paste it, because when I click on it, it's working, but I'm also on a computer, not a mobile device. And I literally just took the link directly from their GoFundMe from justiceformica.com, which you can also go to, and pasted it. So that's one way that you can do. But yeah, any way that y'all have the ability to support, you can. Okay, so people are saying like, where is the, real quick, let me, hold on, I'll show y'all where you can find the YouTube. Give me a second here. Apparently I logged myself out of my computer. Let me flip it around. It's on YouTube. It's definitely there. So if you want to, let me see if I can go to here. My thing is being a little, there we go. So here's my website. It is justinontiktok.com. Okay. Before I go anywhere, these are books that I've written 2 children's books. If you are so inclined, please order. They will come signed. You can also get them from TikTok shops. But then you go past the podcast, and the top link is Justice for Mica. GoFundMe. You see, I click on it, and it's right here. So very easy to do. For YouTube, you go back up, same here, and you go into my dumb face, and right here is YouTube, and you click that, and it'll take you there, and it's literally right here. JP Speaks Tonight. This is it. It's right there on that. So it's under videos as well, I'm sure. Yep, right there, and that's where this one will go as well for anybody who's trying to find it. And again, you'll know it's me because it's got that. So hopefully that is helpful to y'all. Anyways, it is almost 1 a.m. Can you use them for live? Yes, absolutely, you can use them. Just please give me TikTok. There isn't a link for my TikTok. Yes, there is. Okay, I'll show you all one more time. Yes, there is. There is a link for my YouTube. If you go back to my website, last time, right? You go to justontiktok.com. It says follow us on socials for updates. This is YouTube. This little guy. If you go down here, no YouTube. But if you go right up here underneath my thing, that is where it is. So there you go. For anybody who wants to watch. If not, it's just Justin on TikTok. Same name as on here. I do have a Facebook. It's there. The link to all of them. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I have a Twitch. I have no idea why I do, but I do. X and YouTube are all under there. Those are all links. So, all right. I'm tired. Yeah, I'm going to put this live on YouTube as soon as I hang up. Yeah, I'm going to do that. So you guys have, I can make sure they get gifts, 100%. All right, guys, I am tired. I'll be back on probably at some point tomorrow, maybe, probably. And I will see you guys then. Have a good night, guys.